Guys, we're coming in hot tonight. We're ready for an active night. Welcome to Birds of a Feather live on A2DRadio.com. Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. First half of the show brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, our certified public accountant. Make him yours, GibsonMayer.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question, and we fully expect to get quite a bit of participation tonight.
It's going to be fun.
Obviously, breaking news earlier today. Mychal Kendricks was released. Do you agree with the Philadelphia Eagles releasing linebacker Mychal Kendricks? Yes or no? Pretty simple. Join us on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, wherever you want to join us. We're here. Chrome, Chucks. We got Paulie Hudrick.
I'm back, baby.
From NBC Sports Philadelphia. Chucks is back finally after a 2-week hiatus.
Missed you guys.
Yeah.
We missed you except for the baseball segment we were allowed to have, Charles.
I also did enjoy lounging on this.
He did.
I heard.
I was waiting for the feet to go
I was
up
listening.
after.
I did listen, and you guys got me cracking up about me being like a tiny dude.
Yes.
Speaking of baseball talk, Vinny Velasquez just struck out the side with the bases loaded and nobody out.
Vinny's pitching, man. Ryan Brodo over on the ones and twos. The Bro Doe, Mr. I nicknamed myself. Ready for an active night.
It's going to be every week.
Bro,
Every week.
it's going to be forever. What do you mean every week?
Yeah, but see, in turn, you nicknaming yourself, I gave you a new nickname of Mr. I nicknamed myself.
Oh, how did I get so lucky?
So you said I can't nickname myself, so I gave you a nickname.
Oh, dear.
I guess that's how it works.
That's how it works in my world, buddy.
Oh, great.
Yeah, guys, obviously breaking news today. Mychal Kendricks has been released. And also, we had an injury reported directly after.
What else is new in Eagles land? Injuries.
You know. Obviously, right away on Facebook, Thomas Arnone, absolutely not, all capitals with 4 exclamation points.
This is going to be fun.
Mike Parker, woo, coming in hot. Yes, sir. Answer for the poll question is fuck no. Lorraine Nelson, no.
How long do I have to contain myself?
Do you want to go first? You can go first.
Greg Malakovic.
You can go first.
Greg Malakovic. Thanks for joining us, Greg. Says, what up, fellas? I'm okay with this team without Kendricks. However, to release him and get nothing is my issue. Had a feeling he was going to go at some point, but
Tom.
can't give away a starter in this Can't give away starter in this league for free. Hell no. Or hell, even Hackenberg was traded for a conditional 7th-round pick. Haha. Rodolfo Nava. Could it be that they are trying to bring in a vet linebacker or one that is in his last rookie year? Interesting. Thomas Arnone says, Greg, buy a clue. Dion Brown. What up, Dion? He says, what's up, fellas? Tom is flaming over Kendrick's release. LOL. I feel him and other fans over that. But for me, they are going to pay him $6 million. Yes, he played well this past season. Yes, it continues to hurt the depth of linebacker. I'm 50-50 with it. Thomas says, preach, Greg, and buy a clue. And David Rosca said, what's up, boys? What's up, David? So, I mean, let's get into it,
Go,
guys.
Paulie. I know me and Paulie already know
I'm so fired up.
we agree on this,
It's
so Paulie,
funny.
go ahead.
Because I wasn't fired up. Tom, you fired me up.
Tom does great work.
He really does. He really does. Because the word I would have used to describe it when I heard the news would be apathetic, because I didn't think it was really that big of a deal.
And Tom says, oh, my God, it's for one season, $6 million. The cap's already set this year. I didn't think – I mean, I thought something of it because he's been with us for so long, but I didn't think anything that big of it ananyway. I expected him to be gone in some shape or form.
Yeah.
I imagine if he's not traded – they just didn't have a good trade partner.
Yes, and because he made too much money. And when you have, there's still veteran linebackers on the market. Yeah. There's still Navarro. Navarro Bowman's 29 years old. You're going to tell me that Mychal Kendricks is on the level of Navarro Bowman? When did Mychal Kendricks become Luke Kuechly? He's an okay football player. And we want to talk about health. Oh, Jordan Hicks can't stay healthy. Mychal Kendricks missed half the season last year. He's never been able to stay healthy to sustain a decent role.
And if he was on this roster this year, he's going to have that price tag with his playing time was set to be reduced this season.
It was exactly, and it was already like he was already a reduced role player anyway. And with the way the Eagles like to play now with 3 safeties on the field, he barely saw the field. Even last year, as he was the second linebacker, a lot of the time they went to a 3 safety look and 3 corner look. And Braden was the only linebacker on the field. I think people just, and you hit it, Charles, people I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but they think too much of a third linebacker.
Yeah.
You have 2. And like we talked about, Corey Nelson wasn't brought here to play special teams. Corey Nelson was brought here to play.
Yeah.
They still have
told him
Nathan.
that.
They still have Nathan Gary, who I happen to like, and someone might, whatever.
We might be like you like him more than I do, but me and you still like him more than
I like
a lot
him
of
as a
people.
potential and again, when we're talking about a role, we're talking about the third linebacker on the team who's not going to get a ton of snaps. And if you really want, so let's say, okay, Paul Warlow's hurt. So now you go out. Jarrell Freeman's still out there if you really just want a solid veteran. Lawrence Timmons is still out there. There are guys out there if you just want a solid veteran linebacker who, in my opinion, those guys are probably already better than Mychal Kendricks. You pay him for 1 year at a fraction of the cost. And when you talk about the cap already being set, that money you save on Kendricks, you can roll that over at the end of the season and have that be extra cap space going into next year.
Yep.
So it's not just for this season.
That's where the difference
that
is.
also rolls over in the next year.
I would agree with Tom if it was specifically an implication on this year, but because that money can roll over next year.
Yes.
And we know how this team is and how we're always constantly now against the cap and how he has to create ways of opening up cap space.
Yes.
And we know he's great at it. He just
that's
managed to do it a great way a year earlier than
Yeah.
people expected in the sense of making one of those cap moves, which is probably going to be for next year.
Right. And I understand Tom's stance of let's not just bow down to everything Howie does. And I agree with that. Let's not just say, oh, it's a great move because Howie made it. Because that's ridiculous. You can't do that. He won a Super Bowl, and that's, there's no greater thing he could have done for the city. But you can't just bow down to every move and say, oh, yeah, blah, blah. But the one thing Howie has always done, even when he wasn't the greatest GM in the world and he wasn't always making the greatest moves, that dude knows how to manage the cap. And that's what this move is. This is managing the cap, getting rid of a player, and I'm sure he tried to trade him. I'm sure they've been trying to trade him for 2 years, but he can't stay healthy, and his number's too high. No team's going to do that when there are other options out there.
They're just going to wait it out.
Now that he's a free agent, exactly. Now that he's a free agent, someone's going to sign him.
Probably two or three.
Not to the amount of money he's making right now.
Probably maybe $2 or $3 million, maybe.
Yeah, and again,
a reasonable amount.
If you're really that worried about the Eagles' linebacking depth, they can find another okay player to take. Like Mychal Kendricks is an okay football player who was pissy about his role, who's been pissy for years, and he can't stay healthy. Why am I gonna cry over that? Why am I gonna be upset over him being cut? Apathetic. That's how I feel. I don't care.
No, and I mean absolutely. Listen, we're defending Super Bowl champion. We don't have to bow down to anybody. So if you don't like your role, you don't like your fit here, and you have a big ass price tag that you are not worth the value of that, we'll accommodate you. One way or the other, we'll accommodate you. Yeah, maybe we're not getting that value in a player form or a draft pick now, but you talk about $6 million off the cap that can be rolled over for next year. That is a pretty damn good return for having this man off the football team this year. And Tom says, thanks for making my point, Paulie. Wrong, no overvalue. So
off.
now knowing the system doesn't matter. Howie told Kendricks last year he doesn't trade young talent, but releasing his
He's not even that young. He's 27 years old, and he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I mean,
he's not that young.
I agree with you.
Yeah, he's not that young. I mean,
and it's not like I don't know. Like, I mean, there's other guys who have been in Jim Schwartz's system or a similar system that will be able to pick veteran players who will be able to pick it up. It's not like it's this. And not only that, OTAs just started. They have plenty. If they want to bring another guy in, they have plenty of time to teach a new veteran linebacker who has played in the NFL for years how to play the position and how the scheme works. Like, it's not that complicated.
Like, people are more in an uproar about him being gone than some of our real primary contributors from last season. Like, to me, if you're looking at just the value on the field of what they bought to the team, I know that a lot of people would say over the life of his contract, he maybe underachieved, but Vinny Curry is a bigger hit to lose this year on the defense.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
I would completely
a
agree.
guy like a LeGarrette Blunt not being
that was
brought.
the first guy I thought of.
Those are the guys that I would have expected people, and I don't expect an uproar, but why is it, okay, well, we're Super Bowl champs and we can fit people here and, people are going to want to come here and there's opportunity. It's champ talk, which I say that all the time. But now we're upset because our third string, who is not going to play even as much as he did last year with a huge price tag, is gone.
Tom is saying is like,
I
now
get the depth issue.
Yeah, he was.
But they'll address that.
Yeah, he commented saying, "This is Tom saying now he didn't contribute. Wow, I can't." We're not saying he didn't contribute.
I never said that.
We all know.
I never said that.
No, I said that I feel like Vinny Curry was more of a contribution overall. That doesn't mean he didn't contribute.
Yeah,
but I'm looking at that, like I would have looked at Vinny Curry and more people would have been like, "Oh shit, we lost Vinny Curry." Yeah. He had a good year last year, much better than he did the 2 years prior to that.
He's a nice player, Mychal Kendricks, but he's not a Pro Bowl player. He's not like great football. He's an okay player. He's an okay player, and that's it. And I'm not gonna be upset over an okay player being released because he makes too much money and because he's pissy about his role and because he can't stay healthy.
I don't. To me, this is the thing. I don't see why people are so surprised that he's gone. Like,
I expected it at some point.
For me, the minute that they signed Corey Nelson and that language and all the reports coming from the signing was that he is brought here because he was told he was going to compete for a starting job, and that was what got him out of Denver. Like, Denver wanted to keep him to be a starter.
Offered him the same money.
Yeah, and offered him the same money, but he came here because he was promised an opportunity at the starting job. The minute that happened, and you can roll the tape back, I've said, I'm like, okay, this guy is intriguing. He is going to be something. I would not be surprised if he beat out Kendricks or was the starting will for us, by the start of the season. And whether that meant Kendricks was going to be outplayed or simply, like he was just he's going to lose his playing time, or if he's going to be traded. Like, I didn't see the timing of the release kind of caught me off guard.
It's
like,
surprising,
I'm like, wow,
and I think that's why people are reacting so
I'm not
abruptly.
surprised. I'm not surprised that he's not here. I didn't, like I said, he was going to lose playing time, and on the team that plays mostly in sub packages, which is actually not that's the trend for every team in the league. Actually, you don't need a third linebacker. Okay, you don't need a third linebacker as much. Bradham can play Sam, or in a bunch he'll slide into the Mike. That's why he's so versatile. That's why he's so valuable. Hicks, I understand. People are gonna keep screaming, "Oh, you can't rely on him. He's always hurt." I get it, but right now he's healthy. Right now he is healthy,
and his ceiling is
and
so
he's a starter.
high.
So much.
Yeah.
As
you have.
If
to
you're
give
looking
that
at potential and who could and when he's. Okay, so last year, obviously, Hicks got hurt. The year before that, he played 16 games.
Yeah,
and he was really good in those 16 games. Again, more productive and did more as a more disruptive player than Mychal Kendricks has ever been.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to roll the dice, I'm rolling the dice on a much cheaper player. Younger, cheaper, with more potential. That's the guy I'd rather roll the dice with than Mychal Kendricks.
Exactly. I think that, for me, I do think that there can be – I totally understand concern about depth because, to me, you have the three guys. You have Hicks, Bradham, and Nelson. If they stay healthy, we are completely fine at linebacker. We are set because I think Corey Nelson is going to be fine as the will linebacker, coverage linebacker on passing downs. I think he'll be fine. But if one of them do get hurt, that's when we kind of get thin. And I know you said Nate Jerry and everything. We have to see how he pans out, and we have to see what they start to do because we talked about it a few weeks ago. They could slide Jenkins as another linebacker, and I know Tom is going to be in an uproar about that again.
Right.
And Tom, I'm not saying you're wrong about the best way to use Jenkins. That's not what I'm saying. So before you go in on a tirade about that, all I'm saying is Schwartz likes to use him there. So they could be looking at Jenkins as another linebacker there, and then who knows? There have been rumors about Corey Graham getting re-signed. Your boy. We've talked about Jeremy Reeves being one of the undrafted free agents who me and you think out of all the undrafted free agents has the best chance to make the roster. So it's still way too early to see how this team unfolds and everything. But to me, that's the biggest thing. Why is this such a surprise to see him gone? To me, like everyone should have seen this coming for a while.
This is where I'm going to come to Tom's defense, though. And this is just a very general point. I understand whether we agree or disagree, that's fine. But people going after his throat for his opinions is insane.
Oh, yeah.
I love Howie more than anybody probably at this point, which is shocking.
Shocking to say.
Because I was the biggest Howie hater ever. But just because we win a Super Bowl, everybody's content now. And everybody wants to think that everything's rainbows and butterflies. And it's not. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to disagree with a move that Howie makes. We always say, hey, and I know Tom is of this mentality, whether he's critical of somebody or not, prove me wrong. Make me eat my words. I would be more than happy to have that happen. So all the people who are, just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Who's this? You shut up. Like, you have no stand. He has every right to voice his opinion. He's an educated guy. So I'm just going to say that.
No,
that being said, no, I'm not saying us.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But I disagree with his stance, but I get where he's coming from.
Yeah, and I said, Joe, I agree with Tom's basic premise of you can't just agree with every move Howie made just because the guy won a Super Bowl. You can't just
So the guy won a Super Bowl, so we're all listen, for all those people out there who are just stuck, fused with their lips on his ass, get off your knees, get a crowbar, and let's pry that shit off there. It is okay to criticize the man, whether you agree or disagree with things.
2 draft picks I didn't like. I'll say it right now.
Yeah, and you've said it before. There's things you're not a big fan
Two
of.
draft picks I didn't like this year.
And last year, Howie did sign Chase Daniel to that absurd contract, which I thought was horrible. So I mean, we've always been fair. If Howie makes a move we don't like, we call him out for it. Yeah. And I don't
never been afraid to.
Yeah, we've never been afraid to call him out.
Deion Brown says, Facebook's coming in hot. I'm going to read it, and if you have some on YouTube, we'll get to that too. Deion Brown, someone will be getting cut at that position later this summer. I have no choice but to trust Howie. Our D starts up front, then the secondary, and then the linebackers are third in that equation.
I would tend to agree with that as far as value.
I agree. Frank gave us a long response, but I'm going to read it. Frank Vespi, hey, guys, sorry to bother you at work. Here's how I see it. While the timing of the release was unfortunate, with Warlow getting hurt, this was a move that for trade was on the rumor mill for the past couple seasons. A huge chunk of the reasoning of the release was money. It looked like he was not playing up to par, and the huge extension he signed back in 2015. It also looked like the team is more sold with Corey Nelson than Kendricks. He's on par with a lot of what we said here. There's still depth, not that great in depth, because we talked about it. We were surprised how much depth they had there. It was kind of under the radar. You didn't realize.
Yeah, the Warlow thing hurts.
Two things.
It hurts a little bit. I mean, it's not.
But
here's the thing too. Like again, Warlow was what? I mean, he was more a special teams value than anything else.
There are other Warlows out there. Right
exactly.
Now.
There are guys that you could argue are better than Warlow
But he
out there
continues and says, "But this is possibly the start of another series of moves by Howie the Pimp Roseman." And he says, "Not that surprised by this departure, but leaves a bunch of uncertainty. Anyways, this includes my novel. Have good luck tonight." Thanks, buddy. I agree with a lot of what he said. Jerome Thomas says it's classic cognitive bias loss aversion. Exactly the opportunity cost. He says exactly the opportunity cost of $6 million is bigger than Kendrick's on-field impact.
Yes.
Agreed. Christopher
exactly.
Astrite
and again,
says,
you got to look at it as again, if that money rolls over, that's even you're getting even more
better.
value next year.
Chris Astrite says, healthy, how many games did he miss last year and the year before? Not many. He played hurt.
He played half the season 2 years ago.
We're talking about the same
He played
player.
8 games. He literally played 8 games. Look it up. 2 years ago.
Kevin Godwin, Patriots fan, he says it's a classic Patriots move. Why keep a high-priced average player when you can next man up mentality, pay a younger, experienced guy to play harder in a must-earn spot for less money?
Exactly,
I 1,000% agree with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's what winning teams do. I'm not saying you don't pay the guys who get you there, but you have to understand where the opportunity is. It's a guy who's not happy with his role.
Yeah.
That's even more of a negative strike on that.
That's the other thing. Like, let's say, like theoretically, if Jordan Hicks would have stayed healthy last year and Kendricks was on the bench all year, you know what I mean? Like, what tune would he have been singing this offseason?
Exactly.
Astrite says Curry was poop, missed a sack on Smith early last year. Final drive that cost us 14 wins. Yes, early in the year, Curry was always hurt also. Mike Parker says, is it okay that I get Kendricks and Graham confused because they kind of look alike? Can I change my answer with a bunch of drink things and a thumbs up? Dion says, it's a passing league now, so we focus on getting to the quarterback, stopping the run up front. Jim Swartz's defensive schemes has always been about defending the pass and having capable players up front that get to the quarterback. Shit. We can stand up sweet as well. Again, it's OTAs, but I'm not worried about the Kendricks loss. It's Hicks who I'm focusing on. Agree with that. James Wilder.
Yeah, it just puts more pressure. It does. I'll say that.
James
it puts more pressure on Hicks to stay healthy.
James, and if someone gets hurt, what if someone gets injured exactly thin? I don't like it. Man, anybody can get hurt at any time.
That's the
There's
thing,
enough
man.
depth
Like, come
there,
on.
and they have the ability to
Like,
still
God,
add and
I'm
give
going to
other
knock on all
opportunities.
this. What if Jay Ajayi gets hurt?
Yeah.
And he's got an injury history, too.
Yeah.
Dude,
Thank you, Ryan, for the additional knowledge.
we went into the
But
season
my point is,
last
anybody
year.
can get, like you said, anybody
Let's
can get
talk
hurt.
about how important the running game is. We went into the season last year with a LeGarrette Blount who came off more rushing yards than he's ever had.
More
and a
attempts, yeah.
36-year-old Darren Sproles, who we knew was winding down, and an unknown Corey Clement.
Who actually, no, Corey Clement wasn't even, it was Smallwood.
Smallwood, Wendell Smallwood, right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And we went into that, and then Donald Pumphrey somehow was still in the conversation at some point, right? But
you had to bring up that name in front
you
of Charles.
give a young guy an
Why am I the Pumphrey guy?
Listen, you have, and we always talk about it, it's your first and second string, and then when you go beyond that, give a guy an opportunity. I'd rather see them do that, or with Corey Nelson or whoever else is going to have that opportunity to fill that role.
I agree.
Than have a guy who's getting paid $6 million. This isn't the first time we've had this situation. We've managed to make it work.
And this is what great
Howie has done this.
Yeah. This is what great teams do, though. You can't keep everybody. You can't afford to keep everybody. What great teams do is they draft well and they replace veteran players with younger players. You have to, Nathan Gary was a bit of a project this year. I don't want to keep harping on the guy like he's going to be friggin' Dick Butkus, but like he was a safety in college. They're converting him to a linebacker because he can play a little bit of that hybrid role. And now this is the year that you see if he can play. You throw him out in the deep end, you see if he can swim.
I like this comment because I agree with the concept. He says, it's just like the never trade Foles thing. How much cap space would the fan base like to see sitting on the bench?
Yeah.
I love Foles. I think he's worth what he's getting at this point, but how much more extra cap space for a second or third or fourth string guy are we going to continue to sit on the bench?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Should we transition that into Nick Foles?
Give me the
But Tom says I like the player, that's all. He said, shit, I hope Hicks plays 16 games. He's obviously better, but let's not act like it's not a concern. And
sure. I'm not saying
we
it's
agree.
not.
Listen, it's concerning. What I will say, again, total opposite of what I would have said 3 years ago, Howie has shown me enough to not ever react like emotionally right away.
Yeah.
I could sit and I could be surprised about it, but I don't get into an uproar about anything. I don't get overly excited about anything because I like to give things time to play out. The way that Howie works, he has seemed to figured it out and managed to figure out the right pieces to put in.
Yeah.
And like I said,
So I give him the benefit of the doubt with that. I ain't kissing his ass. It's a tough. He put them in a tough spot in some ways, but to me, the return of $6 million, whether it's this year or next year on the cap, is more than enough to make me move him.
That's what
or release him.
My reaction was apathy because I just don't. It didn't do anything really for me. I didn't get fired up until Tom got me fired up. Like I didn't really care.
Paulie was literally like, "Oh, I didn't think anything of it."
Yeah, like I really.
That was the first
really,
comment we got back. I didn't really think anything.
I
of
didn't really care that much about it. Like, because it's a little bit concerning. You're making yourself a little thinner at linebacker, but it's not like I'm gonna get that upset about. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was just it didn't move the needle for me that much. It really just didn't.
It moved the needle for me because there was Eagles talk.
And James says, "Yeah, it did. Yeah, it moved the needle down there."
Yeah.
Hey.
James Wilder says, "For me, it's because an hour later, Warlow blew his knee. LOL.
That's just bad
So
luck,
I don't like
yeah.
the lack of depth, and Kendricks did really well last year. I mean,
There are
that
linebackers.
happens.
There are
it
linebackers.
happens. You can't foresee something like that's going to happen.
No.
So
It was literally within an hour.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what the hell are the chances? Any other guy could have happened to.
Marion Reed Dixon. What's up, Marion? Marion says, I have always liked Kendricks, but this has been this has been coming for a while. He wanted to be traded last year, so it's not really a surprise. We'll be fine. Chris Estright chimes back in and says, How do we know Hicks is 100%? Hello, tough injury to come back. Sure it is, but how do we know Carson's not 100%? But everybody's behind Carson and ready to move
and actually,
forward.
didn't Mychal Kendricks isn't he also coming back for something? I think he was like going to be limited to practice if he was going to practice. I believe.
I don't know.
I
heard him say anything.
I don't know where. I don't know when Mychal Kendricks became the most durable player in the NFL.
JC Mayer says, wonder what Howie knows that we don't about Kendricks. Surprised they couldn't get a pick at least. Probably tried.
Money.
I think it's simple. It's the money he's making. Kevin Godwin, my question is, would this be a topic if it wasn't a dead part of the offseason compared to camp or midseason? No bigger topic in Eagles talk. That's also a valid point.
I'd also say, too, so everyone who's concerned about the depth and everything, if they would have gotten let's say a 4th-round pick or 5th-round pick for Kendricks, would they be that upset?
No.
So what's the difference? He's still off the team.
Yep.
Tom also Thomas Arnone also says, listen, nobody can blame me for wanting to keep as much of this core together for one more year. I agree. I just don't look at Kendricks as part of the core anymore.
No,
that's
and
where
I think
I agree with what you're saying, and I want to keep the guys who are the main core contributors, the guys who we've built the team around. To me, he's the 3rd-string guy who's overpaid. He's not part of the core. You could, and you may disagree with that. Just because he's been here for 6 years to me doesn't mean he's part of the core.
Yeah.
He was on the roster last year. He contributed a decent amount.
We needed him to step up, and he stepped up.
But
he was good last year. I'm not going to say he was. I'm not going to say he was bad. I'm not going to say he was great. He was good.
Marion says hi to Tom. James says I agree with Frank that this won't matter once Howie finishes his move. And Tom says, well, blame the GM who gave him the big contract. You're right about that. That was a bad contract.
Oh, absolutely.
But Howie also seems to find ways to rectify those kinds of things. He did move Chase Daniels. He did bring in Sam Bradford and then turn him around and get a 1st-round pick for him. So he finds, again, that's the faith in Howie. Let me see how he works all this out. He's saying, I'm not saying you guys aren't concerned. I'm talking about everyone else. We know, Tom. And he says, maybe I need something to get me fired up. Absolutely agree with that.
Well, thank you, Tom, because you did. You got me fired up, so I appreciate it. Gina, it feels good to get a little fired up.
Gina chimes in. Gina, what's up? How are you? Mike Parker says, I just wanted to brag that I'm going to be no longer a golf pro. I'm transitioning into the industrial workforce. Doubling your salary plus full family benefits. Let's go. Congratulations. That's a good move for you, man. I know.
Congrats.
I know your family just extended, so that's awesome, man. Although Tom says bad choice, Parker. And he says you guys are an issue. Tom says we're an issue. Parker says doubling my salary plus benefits. Well, I'll let you get through that. Esther says I just want to keep everyone one more year to see what we could do. I said that we don't know no Wentz will be the same as Tom said that a few weeks ago.
It's just you can't. It's just not realistic.
Right.
Yeah,
no championship team comes back and it's the same form.
So you have to figure out who are the most important pieces.
On.
I got 2 comments and then you jump in.
I want to go back to one.
Tom said, "All right, boys, I'm done. I'm done spamming you guys."
Love you, Tom.
And he says, "Best landing." Rodolfo Navas says best landing spot for Kendrick. We'll get into that in a minute. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Gina says buzz LOL, and he says I'm talking about some of the comments. That was Tom.
Yeah.
We have made it through the Facebook comments. God damn.
Chris Estrite also wanted to point out, Paulie, you are wrong. He played 10 games 2 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, my bad.
My bad. He played 10 games 2 years ago.
Way to call us out. We are proven wrong.
Oh, my God.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. So, Christopher Estrite, while we're on him, the comment he makes about saying he wanted to keep everyone one more year, well, I hate to break it to you, Chris, but everyone that whole thought of it, the entire team was no longer here. You have a guy like LeGarrette Blount already gone. You have a guy like, I don't know.
Vinny Curry.
Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's impossible, like we've been talking about, to keep everyone on a team. Like we talked about a month ago. If it was some fantasy land where we didn't have to pay guys money to play here and be like, oh, hey, we like you, so we're going to keep you for the good spirit of the game. No, that's not how things work.
No.
Since when, just because a guy's been here for a long time, is he like an incredibly important piece of a core? He had a bad contract that he capitalized at a time where he was playing really well, and that's on the GM. And he became a disgruntled employee. We didn't like his role.
Yeah, I know.
So are we going to sacrifice other guys' role to make a guy just because he's been here for 6 years and is making $6 million? We're going to sacrifice other guys' roles to satisfy him Sorry, dude, you got your ring. He's probably happy he's got his ring, and now he gets the opportunity to play elsewhere, and we have cap flexibility, whether we choose to use it this year, next year, whenever.
Listen.
And when did Michael?
It's a win. Honestly,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a win-win for
And
everybody.
I don't want to rip Mychal Kendricks because I don't think he's
No,
a bad football
no,
player at all.
no.
But my God, when did he become Jeremiah freaking Trotter all of a sudden? He's an okay football player. Why are we so upset from Mychal Kendricks? I don't get it.
Paul, I
don't get it at all.
guarantee you, before going into last season,
Tom says he loves us. Great talk.
Most of the fans in this city would have been glad if Kendricks was gone because of how disappointing he was, and he was barely playing any snaps, and he played horrible the season before. But I get it. He stepped up this year. He played great when we needed him to. But it does not automatically mean that he's now part of the core of this team that's going to help us build a dynasty for the next 5-10 years. The core of the team is only maybe like a few guys, but in football you can't keep every single person. You can't keep third linebackers or fourth cornerbacks on the team when it's not cost friendly. Give me that $6 million that could help roll over into next year, free up even more cap space. Because we keep talking about, like, I know Tom would keep saying, like, oh, like, worry about that next year, I'm worried about this year. I am worried about this year too, but you got to consider everything. And when you consider the totality of all the factors that are in this argument, you can get rid of Kendricks, and the upside of getting that cap space is so much greater because we keep talking about next year. How many expiring contracts do we have? Jay Ajayi. Last time I was on here, we were talking about what if Jay Ajayi does really well and stays healthy? Would the Eagles want to keep him? Yeah, we all said we can see a scenario like that. What if Ronald Darby balls out and proves to be a great outside corner for us that we want to extend? Are we going to want to extend them? Yes. So $6 million of cap space is going to go a long way in helping us get guys like that re-signed, build the rest of the team, sign guys that really do matter.
The downfall, like, you are Philadelphia sports fans. The downfall, a very quick downfall of the Philadelphia Phillies is because it was about keeping the core together and doing what we need to do right now. And what it did was it created 7 years of atrocious baseball after that. You had high-priced guys who were aged veterans, and you went out and bought in more high-priced guys and aged veterans. You didn't develop your farm system because you utilized, instead of working to win now and still plan for the future, you mortgaged everything going forward. Yep. You can't just have a tunnel vision of just this year. This is it. They have done more than enough this offseason to have a strong case to make another run. It doesn't mean you can't make one or two moves with a third-string, disgruntled, overpaid linebacker and plan for next year when you have guys who are going to have contracts coming up or are going to be due extensions. You don't sacrifice those guys because let's say Jason Peters is gone and maybe that's a huge chunk of money off the books. Plus the $6 million. You could go out there and sign an absolute stud free agent next year with the money that could potentially come off the books next year. You can't only look one way the entire offseason. For everything they've done for this year, they haven't done enough for me looking at that cap for next year. This, to me, is a sign that we talk about. We don't just want it to be this year. We want it to be the year after, year after year on Broad Street. So why am I love being on Broad Street. That question was asked earlier. How much do you guys love being on Broad Street? I friggin' love it.
I can't.
You know what? I don't just want to do it this year again. I want to do it the year after, or the year after, and keep going back. You have to plan for now and for the future. And for everything they did for this year, this was a good move to do it. And I think I agree with the comment earlier. It's because it's been so quiet. And it was so unexpected. Even though it's not unexpected, the timing and the way I guess it happened, and obviously an hour later, you can't control that someone blows an ACL.
Yeah.
People are in an uproar. Guys, you can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. If you want to get back year after year, you got to continue to plan for then now.
It's easy for us to sit here, or for anyone to sit here and say, I'm only worried about this year. Howie Roseman doesn't have that luxury to just worry about this year.
No.
Howie Roseman's going to be the GM of this team for years to come. He has to worry about this year, next year, the Carson Wentz extension in 2 years. He's got to have all of that stuff in the back of his mind.
Exactly what I was saying.
He's got to plan all these things. He can't just be worried about this season.
Why do you think he's so good at the cap? Because he looks
he's ready for it.
In the future, he's ready for it. It's not just like he looks year after year and be like, okay, we're in this spot this year. How can I make it good? No, he's looking ahead so that he can put the team in the best position financially as soon as possible. Like that Carson Wentz contract, because you've seen all these contracts these quarterbacks are getting.
It's ridiculous.
It's going to be ridiculous. So I get it, Tom. You're saying that
I'm not
you
just
mentioned
talking to
here
Tom.
about
I'm
the
not even talking about Tom. I'm going other people.
He said something about no one's mortgaging the future of $6 million.
Yeah,
but when $6 million, $6 million, any amount of any penny, any dollar amount will help this team once that Carson Wentz contract comes. I'm telling you, we need every penny we can get.
We have talked about it repeatedly about the Sixers, all right? LeBron James. We want LeBron. Do you think the Sixers, though, are going to sacrifice to sign LeBron James longer than they really should if it sacrifices re-signing Ben Simmons? Fuck no. They're going to plan for next year, but they're not going to sacrifice 2 years down the road when you have to sign and extend your cornerstone. You have to plan for the years to come if you want to have a sustainable, continued, successful run.
If anything, I think it's like fans should look at it like this. This guy is not sitting on his hands and saying, well, we won the Super Bowl. Cool. I did my job. No, this guy is still making moves. He's still doing things to help the future of this football team for years to come. He doesn't want it to just be a one-off. He's trying to keep his job and to keep this team good every year.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing too, you know, and a great point by you, Karim, when you brought up the 2008 team. You know, people wanted the guys like Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, etc., to stay along forever. You know, Carlos Ruiz, another one, because it represented sentimentality. Oh my God, they were part of the good old days, etc., etc. Like, listen, I understand when people in the chat, and this is not the first time they've said this, to where they want to keep the core together. They wish that everyone was back. I do as well. I understand that point of it.
In a perfect world.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not going to help us going forward. That's not always the best option. I mean, listen, I remember when Brent Selleck was released. I saw people panicking over Brent Selleck, and that's not a shot at Brent Selleck. That's okay. Is Brent Selleck really a factor anymore? No, and I'm not comparing Kendricks and Selleck because that can't be compared at the moment. But when you look at it, listen, in all honesty, when it's all said and done, I actually agree more with Tom. That's the funny thing. And it's like I'm arguing in your guys' favor tonight, which is funny because I agree more with Tom. Like when I saw it, I didn't like it. I really didn't. I wasn't panicking because in my heart, I truly believe that Howie Roseman is going to do something. I feel like this is part of like a 3-step plan. I really don't. I think
like everything else he does.
Exactly.
Yep.
But I wasn't happy about it, and especially within the course of an hour, I realized, oh my God, we don't lose one linebacker, we lose two. In a position where, listen, we could say
and
that
that's by chance.
Absolutely,
that was
and that's
crazy
not
that actually happened.
That's an extreme coincidence. That was not calculated by any means by the Philadelphia Eagles. That's not their fault. And for all those on Twitter about it that are saying, "Oh my God, they released Kendricks after the Warlow," no, flip it. Do you really think that would happen? You freaking moron! Like seriously, calm down.
Yeah,
it's just amazing to me when people say, "Oh, I wish we had everybody back," because of course you do. But just take a second, wake up from that pipe dream, and realize that's not possible.
No, and let's also remember this team as built was built and absolutely, for all intents and purposes, dominated last season. But just because you stay pat doesn't mean the other 31 teams in the NFL are going to stand pat. You watched how many teams in the NFC, especially this year, make moves to close the gap against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Every team in the division got better.
The Rams. Hello, the Minnesota Vikings. So let's keep everything status quo, move forward as is, as was last year, with a full season of game film and tape that people can sit back and review. meanwhile, they're all out there getting better. That's what happened to the Phillies. The Phillies sat there and they stayed status quo. They they did add Cliff Lee and they added Roy Halladay. But at that point, because you kept that core as was and didn't develop young guys to infuse in there, it didn't make a difference at that point. They're one man. But if you're continuing to understand this is my core, and guess what? After that, I got to make sure I'm planning to build the next coming of guys.
Yep.
It's not just about next man up on the field today. It's, okay, now this is who we have. This is, of the core, this is the person playing up to where, we need to continue with them. They're still at a high level. Guys who are part of that core are going to start to trail off. Now you have to plan to bring the next guys in, and you need to have money to be able to do that. You need to have money to be able to do that.
Real quick, Tom says that I guess he thought I accused him of panicking. No, Tom, I was saying that people were panicking about Brent Selleck being released.
Yeah,
now, I know
that's what he said. Yeah.
I know you weren't panicking, but a big portion of the city today were panicking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gina says, wait, we dominated with the next man up. Yes. Damn right, Gina.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't rely on that always.
No,
I would like our starters to play,
you're right. You're right.
No, but to Chrome's point, that's why you need depth, and that's why you need, like, in every sport, even baseball, teams are built through the draft.
But
the
like
reason,
smart
the
depth.
reason, yeah, and the reason why the Phillies weren't good, like what. They had to go out and get Roy Oswalt. They had to go out and get Hunter Pence because they had nobody there because they didn't draft well. And even the guy, like, you look at like the prospects they gave up to get some of those players, none of them even really panned out. Like, honestly, like, who's the best? Travis d'Arnaud, is that the best player out of all those? Seriously, out of all the prospects the Phillies dealt, he might have been the best one. So I mean, even then, like, they didn't have great depth. They didn't draft well, so they didn't have guys who could come in. That's why you had to give up prospects to get a Hunter Pence. You had to give up prospects to get a Roy Oswalt. You had to do it because you had no choice.
All right, so let's get back because still going here. Let me find my spot. Okay. Seattle had everyone for 2 years. That was Chris Astray. It's a sub convo over here. I think that's Mike Parker maybe talking to himself. I don't know. Kevin Godwin said, and again, a Patriots fan. So he has seen how they have been able to build this success. Okay? And he's realistic. He doesn't hate the Eagles. He follows the Eagles because his family follows the Eagles. But, he says, for people who want to keep the same guys over year, Welker, Moss, Blunt, Chung, no team keeps everyone. If you don't try to rotate, you're not improving. You can be stagnant. You can't be stagnant and a dynasty at the same time. Totally agree with that.
Absolutely. You always have to be trying to get better.
Mike Parker. No, hold on. He's talking about his new job. We love your new job, though, buddy. Congratulations. Tom says, you're missing the point. I can't do this over text. LOL.
Love you, Tom.
Dion says, again, they weren't going to pay him $6 million for the production he gave out. He's a marginal player who will find a job elsewhere and probably at a $2 or $3 million price tag. When I think of linebackers for my squad, I think of Carlos Edmonds, Trott, Byron Evans, Seth Joyner, Hugh Douglas.
Carlos Edmonds.
Jeremiah Trotter. Oh, he did say Trotter.
He's talking about underrated players, man. And that's a guy who, once he left here, he was trash.
Yeah.
Jim Johnson knew exactly how to use him.
He says, linebackers that have and make consistent plays playing in the Eagles green. Kendricks wasn't ever going to be that on that level. Good player, nothing to cry or get mad at, especially when he and his former teammate in Hicks can't stay on the field. Agree. Tom says, every time I try to leave, you try to pull me back in. I did read that to you. He says 2008 is a poor example of the Phillies. That's a great example, Tom. I'm sorry, dude. It's let's keep the core together forever and ever and try to make a run at this. And they did nothing to plan for 2 years after or 3 years after. They just continue to drive that into the ground. It's a great example. Sorry, I will pat myself on that one.
Well, I was going to say, I think the only reason why we brought that up, it's because, I'm sorry, that's the last time a Philadelphia team has won a championship. So we can say that,
that's
that championship
And you
team.
thought that team was going to make a run for years.
I mean, they did.
Well, almost.
They just came up short. No, but my point is, I mean,
they
went to the World Series the next year. They went to the National League. They went to the
But they came up short.
They came up short, and they won 102 games. They set a franchise record.
Division wasn't that good then either, though. They got a lot of wins.
They got caught by the Cardinals being the hottest team in the league. That's it.
Yep.
And you know that as a Cardinals fan, you know that the Cardinals weren't the best team. They were the hottest team. They caught fire at the right time.
Fucking red hot that year.
Exactly. So that's my point. Like, it's not like the Phillies didn't. I mean, the Phillies continually tried to build. They continued to try to win championships. What their problem was is they didn't replenish the farm system. They did not draft well.
John Malmus says Kendricks' numbers have increased, and he's not a great cover linebacker. And we play more with two linebackers than two the most important positions on the defense or D-line and cover corners.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Tom says, by the way, I'm already over it. Just arguing to argue. It's what I do.
And then he said he's not happy with the text format. He says it's not working.
Yeah. He said, I said from day one it's all about 11. He's right about that. Gina says, yeah, but when everyone said we couldn't, we did, in the words of Kelsey. Hell yeah. Parker says, thanks, Chrome, but that was hours ago. I'm tenure now. Oh, congratulations.
Live updates.
That's Parker. Live updates. Live look at Mike Parker. He said that's not what I meant about 2008. There's a good balance of both. Jesus, the tech shit doesn't work. Yeah, there you go. You got it. I apologize, YouTube. We're gonna get to you now, and you guys know you get the whole second half of the show. So why don't you jump in and get some of that YouTube stuff in on here?
All right, so we got.
I'm exhausted.
Facebook was hot. I knew it was gonna be hot, so I wanted to give them the opportunity since they only get half of the show.
Yeah. David Rosca started off the chat again. Saying, what's up, boys? Let's go Knights. Let's go Knights. They will win the cup.
I hope so.
Sixers JT does say Paul Borrello, Corey Nelson, and Nate Jerry. Is it Gary or Jerry?
It's Gary. It's pronounced Gary. Yeah.
I thought we should have kept Kendricks only because have all those guys listed above our depth. Do we still have Joe Walker? Yes. We do have Joe Walker.
And Camus Grugier Hill.
Who flies?
Expert kicker.
Expert kicker.
Special teams ace.
Khalid did ask a good question. How do you guys feel Carson Wentz looked at OTAs?
Oh, guys, I got a medical source on that if you're interested.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
I wish I
It
had
goes
some
into his
doctor's
question.
music. Some smooth piano.
No, so
Do we have some Doogie
so-
Howser music?
Go ahead.
for 5.5 months removed from surgery, looks very good. Looks right on schedule. Looked like he was being very careful with his steps.
Okay.
But with that said, this does not sound like doctor music. This sounds like
It's elevator music, which you take to get to the doctor.
This is
I suppose.
elevator music.
This is like being in the. It's like being in the waiting room and overhearing the doctor's conversation.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm trying.
No. So yeah. So essentially, it's looked very good considering 5.5 months. But you can tell that he is being careful, which I think is a good thing. I want him to be careful. I don't want him to go too crazy. But that's it for the medical source. That's it. Nothing too crazy.
Very nice.
Just for 5.5 months post-op, it looks very good.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Tom also says Paulie with laughing faces, and he says, Paulie, you want me to bring you down a pillow for your lounging?
Yeah, actually, some kind of back orthopedic. You have any like hot patches or a heating pad maybe?
Yeah.
Mike Parker does give us a promotion for the YouTube. Says jump over to YouTube for your Facebook jumpies. The tube has some sick graphics. It sure as hell does. If you haven't seen the layout on YouTube, our peeps over on YouTube, the fam on YouTube knows what we're talking about.
All right, and then to wrap up, Marcos Levy says people overreacting about Kendricks' release. If Eagles haven't won the Super Bowl, nobody will be acting like this. I think Kendricks will still have gotten cut even if it was after Warlow injury. Cap money is too much. You can replace Warlow with another veteran linebacker.
I don't know that they would. I mean, maybe they would have. I don't know that they would have cut him if it was before.
It's kind of impossible to know.
Yeah, it's that's a speculative.
They might have
statement.
held
It's
on
possible.
to him for a little bit longer.
I think they would have probably continued to explore
Maybe
the trade market more.
That, and then also I think maybe they would have then looked on the market immediately as far as free agents go,
Yeah.
and maybe they would have poked around the Navarro Bowman or poked around the Jarrell Freeman just to see what their deal was before they went ahead and released them.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it for YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's short YouTube.
So far.
But
Where are
They
all
know
our
the deal
guys?
now. I think they know the deal now, though.
the YouTube guys end up jumping in like late.
Second half.
They're waiting
Yeah.
for 1 a.m.
They are. Like the one time we were on and
I'm
we
about
were,
to go.
we were
about to
literally
leave.
saying goodbye and 1 minute left.
And there's a flood.
As I'm like reading the as I'm stating the sponsors,
oh,
like
hey, guys.
4 of them jump on. Ready to talk? Yeah, that was fun. That was actually a
Hey
good night.
guys, what are you talking about? I don't know. Saying our goodbyes.
Talking about leaving.
Yeah.
So we have 10 minutes left. Do you think it's enough time to do the over-unders?
Well, I was going to read to you one news story.
Yeah, you
by
do
the
it.
way.
Do it, then we'll see.
I know Paulie, Charles, and we talked about this before. I don't know if you had heard this yet.
Probably not. I've had a crazy day. Obviously, I'm still in my daytime work gear.
So we'll get your live reaction to it.
Classing up the joint.
So,
this place look good.
Reportedly, the Eagles were offered a deal for quarterback Nick Foles from the Cleveland Browns a few months ago.
Okay.
And then, Paulie, you had said this happened before
they had gotten Tyrod.
Yeah.
So early on in the offseason.
And it was they would get Nick Foles for the 35th overall pick.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
I would have done it.
I would have
I
thought
kind
about
of.
No, I've told you guys
I'd have done
before.
it.
My deal with that, the only way I was moving Foles is if it's a first round pick, and it would have to be probably a top 25.
When you look back on the players that were there at 35, you could have gotten yourself a damn good football
with
player
all
at 35.
but you can't foresee that because of all the.
No, well, you could have.
And I know
it's
that-
pick 35. You knew
but
at least a couple guys are going to fall out of the first round that were projected first-round picks.
Right, but I think if you look at the way that the draft kind of fell, there was reaches all over the place in the top of the first round to where a lot of really good talent dropped. I don't think any of us foresaw that.
Charles?
What happened to the live video on
What?
Facebook?
Still here.
It went away.
Still here.
Mine went away.
What the hell
I'm
happened?
like,
I see it.
turn back to my.
We get hacked?
Yeah,
Is
I
that a
still see
Russian
it.
hack?
There you go.
Charles is
So,
They got you, Charles. They got
I'm
him.
like,
Somebody save him. They got
why
him.
is the POTUS on my freaking laptop?
I'm like, Donald?
what did he have on there?
It's just Trump
it
shaking
was
someone's
just taken on
hand.
it. I'm like,
It was so
it was a
weird.
Trump
Speech.
What happened to my feet? Anyway,
I see us. We're still here.
I'll say this with the Foles thing. They said that, well, according to this report, they were interested in that pick. They asked Nick Foles if he would be interested in going to Cleveland. He said what any sane person would say, hell no. And the Eagles said, okay. We won't. And, that's a really classy move by the Eagles.
Yeah.
They checked with him first to say, hey, they want to trade for you. They want to make you their starting quarterback. What do you think? And he said, no, I don't want to go there. And they're like, okay, good enough.
Tom says, tell the genius on YouTube, no shit, we wouldn't care if we didn't win the Super Bowl. Tom's starting wars with everybody today.
I like it.
Why does it say live?
Gina says, are you jumping over to YouTube or are you done? We're going to jump over to YouTube after this. Or maybe she's talking to Parker.
What is going on with your screen, Charles? I'm concerned.
I don't know what's going on with my Facebook.
I'm worried. I'm
kicked
worried
me
you're
out.
You're going to click on one of those links that Chrome gave you.
Shut down, refresh, and
worried
restart
about that? Are you
everything.
Did you
really
click
worried
on that
about
link
that?
I say? Did you get a virus from it? Shit, I better stop clicking on those links then.
Don't worry. That video would be the last thing to get me a
Listen.
virus.
Should I tell them what I accidentally sent you?
I don't care. Go ahead.
I'll tell. It's a funny story. I was sending.
I don't know if I should play the music that's actually appropriate.
Do it.
I was
Hold
sending
on.
Charles. Oh yeah, you're gonna. I was sending Charles the change in our criteria with the breaking news of Mychal Kendricks, and with that,
I got something better.
I meant to paste the picture of the screenshot that I took, and I incidentally sent him the celebjihad.com leaked WWE Diva page new sex videos. Whoops. And he's at work too. Wait, and the best part.
No, I wasn't. I was at home.
Okay, but the best part is the picture that pops up above the link is like her turned around naked holding like a dildo. I swear to God. I said it and immediately I was like, whoops, didn't mean to send you that. But this is what it is if you want to click on it later. Then I had to go through the explanation that I was sharing that with my buddies.
I didn't care. I liked it.
Uh,
I was like, sweet.
All right, I'm gonna end
So
this
if
now.
anyone's wondering what we're going to do during the break, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I maybe we should make this louder.
Off the rails. Off the rails.
we're having real break time later, guys. I feel like I should drop my voice and start trying to talk in a
I don't
sexy
know.
voice.
I've never felt as though that was like a group activity. So I would.
Dion says, to everyone on YouTube, I say, what up? Let's all talk about it. Is it me or is Chrome's suit vest is dope? Digging the style. Hashtag grown
You just
man
see the
wear.
matching pants.
Grown man
Brother.
wear.
Matching
This
pants.
suit, it's nice.
Nice.
Looking
Nice.
fresh, brother. for you. Thank you. I hope you got that Big Dick Dion jersey. I'm waiting to see it. If you did, send me a picture.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think Facebook just cut us off. I think they just ended our live stream.
That's what I'm saying.
Charles, what did you click?
All right. All right. Well, that's all right.
Maybe it's good.
Let's take our break then.
They really wouldn't have been happy with us.
Let's recoup. We got links to click on, guys.
Oh, yeah. Lots of links.
So hopefully the people on Facebook will then join us over on the YouTube.
I can see that.
Whoa.
Nice.
Wow, it's here,
So if you made the jump, great. If you can hear us, guys, thank you on YouTube or on Facebook. Thank you on Periscope. Jump over. The link is at the top of the page for the YouTube second half of the show. We got a lot more coming here from Paulie, Chrome, Chucks, the Bro, Doe, Mr. I nicknamed myself, guys. Scanzano Sports, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, sponsoring the first half. Live from the BMW Atlantic City Studios, BMWAtlanticCity.com. We'll see you on the other side. All right, guys, welcome back to Birds of a Feather live on atvradio.com, live on YouTube. If you joined us on Facebook, if you joined us on Periscope and made the jump, thank you guys for making the jump. We had a lively conversation in the first half. We're coming to you live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, bmwofatlanticcity.com. Second half brought to you by StreamSmart, streamsmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question, which is obviously the reason why we had such a lively first half. Do you agree with the Philadelphia Eagles releasing linebacker Mychal Kendricks? Obviously, that was the breaking news earlier today, a few hours before we went on the air. Obviously, we're alone with the season-ending ACL tear as well. But if you want to continue to chat about that, guys, we're absolutely 100% on that. I know we wanted to try to get into some other subjects as well. So, Eagles over unders. You know what? Before we do that, Charles, please read to me what you just read to me. The
Which
report from camp.
Oh, yeah.
Here we fucking go.
Here we go. This is from Brandon Lee Gallon, who works for Bleeding Green Nation. He's reporting for his observations from
Bleeding Green Nation.
From the first day of OTAs. And one of them says, Nelson Aguilar dropped the pass over the middle with Rodney McLeod bearing down on him.
Here we fucking go. It all starts again. He's already dropping passes, Charles. God damn it. It's going to be a long
season. Over.
Over.
It's done.
He's regressing already.
No shot.
It's already ruined.
God damn it.
It's already
It's
done.
Ruined.
You know, I'm going to remind you this season, guys, every dropped pass.
Yeah, I mean, you've been waiting a good year to actually say that again. You know what I mean?
It's
You've
been a while.
You've been lurking in the shadows, just waiting.
No, believe me, Charles watched every game. I remembered every single one and made sure to get them in. There wasn't many.
No.
But they were there. No, obviously, it's a little fun. You know, we know he doesn't. Yeah, he's been very good with that. So we'll see. But anyway.
Over-unders.
Over-unders. Philadelphia Eagles over-unders. Charles.
All right.
Charles has the list of the over-unders.
So I'm not going to lie. I was looking for topics to talk about for the second half of the show. I'm like, what can we do? What can we do? Some just like neat stuff. And I was listening to, you know him, Ruben Frank, his podcast.
I like
Ruben.
Ruben. Yeah, I like Ruben.
And he threw some over-unders with him and Dave Zangaro. So I was like, let's play along. Let's do
why not?
This is actually fun fact. This is like Dave Zangaro's favorite game to play in the office.
Over-under.
Yeah, he constantly does this in the office.
So
when I was in the office, I used to do, and this is going to make me sound like a terrible person, but when we were younger, we used to do over-under. Every female that walked in, I would set the baseline of age, and they'd have to go over-under.
Oh,
I'm a terrible human being. That's why I'm me, guys. Hashtag Gil Chrome.
Heck yeah. All right, so the first over-under.
Sorry.
It's just now hitting him.
This show. Oh, man. Chrome,
Yeah.
I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you too, pal.
Off the rails. First, Jay Ajayi, 1,000 rushing yards, over or under?
Under.
Under.
Sorry.
I think he'll probably get about
850.
8 something.
I was
right?
going to say 7
I'd
to
say
8.
Somewhere in the 850
sounds
range,
about right.
and
Yeah.
and another like 400 receiving yards, I would say.
Okay,
I think
Like
7 to
1,200
8.
total.
I could see him eclipsing 8 though, but he won't touch 9.
And I think a lot of people will say, like, oh, we're taking a shot at Ajayi. It's not necessarily based off
Not
of
at
him. It's
all.
based off of he's not – it's a running back by committee still.
Yeah.
I'm expecting Corey to have way more carries
Yeah.
this year. And
Yep.
I'm expecting either Matt Jones or Josh Adams to get some carries as well.
Mhm. You know what? Just to go against you guys,
And
I'll say
Darren
over.
Sproles, too.
Yeah.
I'll say over. For what the hell? I'll say over.
No
Okay.
reason, just over.
Yeah,
Just- yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
just-
not because
What's
he
the
loves
argument for
Jay Ajayi
over?
or anything.
Because I think that with a full offseason with us, and I think that with LeGarrette Blount not here, he will be the lead guy. Like, he will get majority of carries. I think on a consistent basis, we'll start to see 12 to 15 carries a game, maybe touches around there. And I think that'll be enough to get 1,000. So, but,
Frank's
saying,
Frank's comment.
Frank's
Frank,
comment.
Frank over Frank Vespi, part of our A2D team, over on the YouTube says 10 out of 10 would view the page photo again. Thanks for the recommendation.
With an emoji.
That's why I'm
What was-
here, buddy.
What was the emoji?
Talking about the video that I sent.
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I said,
He
what
said
was the
10 out of
emoji?
10.
Oh, thank God. It
That
was just a laughing face.
Ah,
That's
thank
so
God.
funny.
I was
Oh,
worried
boy.
it was like a,
Yeah.
I don't know. thought
Off
maybe it
the
was
rails.
The old,
Use your imagination.
I thought maybe it was the old eggplant emoji. Maybe.
Did you guys see Blockers, by the way?
No.
Where they go through that whole segment of what all those mean now? It's pretty great. But anyway, you're welcome, Frank.
All right. I guess going on to the next one.
Oh, those over-unders. Huh?
Those over-unders.
Paige seemed to always get the under. I'm not a good human being, guys. I'm so sorry.
Oh no! Oh,
At least I'm apologetic for it.
Oh, no.
Definitely got the under more often than not.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. All right.
Oh my God! Someday there's going to be a woman that tames you.
Well,
and that's going to be one hell of a woman.
On that note, Frank also says it says no eggplants and water emojis in this chat. Yeah, because this chat's totally above that one, right? Yeah, that's a good call by you, Frank. Right?
He's right. I dress for class, and that's what we're bringing to this place.
Yeah, we're talking about over-unders, but no water emojis. That puts it over the top.
I can't. Okay.
Oh, man.
If we can get to it. Carson. All right, next one. Over under. Carson Wentz, 34.5 touchdown passes.
Ooh,
Keep
that's
in
a
mind
tough
he
one.
had
Over.
33.
I'm going to say
Over.
over. Yeah.
Over?
Over.
I'm going to say over.
Brodo? The Brodo.
I think he might touch close to 45 this year. I think he's going to absolutely
I think he's
blow
going to
it
hover
up
right
this year.
around 40.
And if you're talking, I mean,
Especially if he plays all 16.
and I'm
he's
I'm looking,
hovering right around that
looking
40.
at guys like Mike Wallace who are added, who are much. I'm sorry, I love Torrey Smith, but to me it's a huge upgrade. It's just another weapon.
As a pass catcher, Dallas Goedert's better than Brent Selleck.
And
Yes.
and the dynamic that you get with Sproles in the passing game as the third back,
Correct.
as opposed to LeGarrette Blount, who was more of
Yeah.
a power running back, another passing weapon for him.
I'll be honest with you. Realistically, I see his touchdowns, passes going way up. I also think his interceptions are going to go way up, in all honesty.
I don't know about way up, but I think they'll be up this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go up to 20, but I think they're definitely going to go up. So it's not going to be like 45 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions. Just people shouldn't be.
No, I'll probably have maybe 12.
Maybe like 10 or
interceptions.
12. I would say 10
Yeah.
or 12.
If he's hitting 45 touchdowns, I'm fine with 10 or 12 or 15.
I could deal with that, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, Nick Foles, 1.5 starts.
I'm hoping for the under.
I'm gonna very much hopefully just say the under.
I think it's going to be
Under.
over. I'm not hoping for it.
I could see the over
see it
if
too.
down the stretch of the season we have a lead
Okay.
in the division enough that it can warrant sitting Carson for
On
a
that
week
last
or two.
game.
But I'm gonna say under.
Right now, I think he comes back week 3 at home versus the Colts.
I'd be okay with
Which would be the over if
Yeah.
they do. But
I'd be okay with that.
I'm going on the premise I think he's probably going to start week 1.
That's where I think.
That'd
If he
be- that'd be
continues
awesome, yeah.
to progress as he is. Now, if there's a setback, that's obviously going to change. If there's any setbacks with Carson at all, I don't care if he can come back in week 2. I'm sitting him until week 4.
Agreed. There's no point. There's no. It's needless.
Well, here, let me ask you a random question as well, a scenario basically. So say, for example, Foles starts game 1, and this is an extreme scenario, everybody. Say Foles starts week 1, but he struggles. Could you see them bring in Carson in the second half? Like, could you see a scenario
No.
where they bring in Carson halfway through a game?
Nah, I
No,
think if
the-
full starts, he
Sudfeld-
finishes.
Okay, I agree.
And if he struggles that much, they'll put Sudfeld in before they put Wells.
I think they'll just let Foles
Wentz in.
try to get through it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's my.
I agree.
mean,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think he could throw 5 interceptions, and they would try to just let him play through it.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think if he throws 5 interceptions, the game would most likely be lost at that
Well,
point
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I was obviously
No,
speaking in
no,
hyperbole.
no, I agree. No, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
Thanks for stating the obvious, right?
I'm
Just
under.
confirming. Most people didn't
I am
guess
taking.
it before.
I am taking the under on the Nick Foles 1.5 starts, and I didn't say it earlier, but I am taking the over also on the Carson Wentz 34.5 touchdown passes. Nelson Aguilar, not receptions.
It's drops, right?
800 receiving yards over under.
Under.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
I'm gonna go over.
You think?
I
just think there's so much. There's so many guys to spread the ball around.
I think the team got better.
And just kind of seeing the way that this team operated last year, you know, it was a different guy every week. And not saying he wasn't still playing at that level, but the better he does, he gets more focus, opens up for another guy. That guy's the target. Plus, I think when you have a Zach Ertz there, that's to me, that's his priority number one.
Yeah, I think also with Aguilar's contract coming closer where he wants an extension, he's going to want to play a lot better. Even though he played amazingly last year, I think he's going to want to have his numbers on the incline, and I think he's going to want to. He's the type of person who keeps wanting to improve. Obviously, I think he had like 768 last season.
Filthy.
So I'm going to take the over. I don't think he gets 1,000.
We're just watching the page video.
I think he gets.
I was actually going to comment that, but I'm like, somebody will bring that up.
Yeah, see?
Nasty, filthy.
I take the slight over on the Nelson Aguilar.
Just you two grimacing over there. I'm like, oh, God. Are one of them going to say it?
Okay, guys.
I know.
We're streaming
You know that's never going to get by me.
Yes, that's why I asked.
Luis Garcia threw a slider. It was nasty. That's where we're at.
Paul, no, we really weren't looking at that, guys.
Yeah.
No,
Guys.
I swear. Look at my phone right here.
It's true. I don't want. Yeah. I don't need that kind of stuff in my life. Listen, you already burned your path. I still have a chance.
You damn right.
Oh my God.
I can't argue that. That's a fair point.
Bro.
Yes?
He answered too.
What?
See,
Can I help you?
That's what happens when you nickname yourself.
You're over on for Aguilar 800.
Oh, we're back on that?
Yeah, I didn't get your vote.
We're still having a show here,
I
apparently.
know.
Oh, what the hell? I'll go under.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
So I can fit in.
Cool.
Breaking news, by the way. Giants signed Russell Shepard.
What?
Yes!
Super Bowl! Him and Jonathan Stewart going to take him to the Super Bowl.
Former Panthers, yes. Oh, this show is
That really was huge breaking news, too.
I know.
Shattering.
What are you doing, Charles?
The internet is
It
shattered
was
right
on my Twitter.
Charles, I'll make sure I text Frank or Frank's in the chat. Hey, Frank, I need you to send me another graphic with that headline on the screen immediately, okay? It's very important.
Very important for Giants fans to know.
Just fans in general, just people.
Yes,
it's a big day.
The people need to know.
You-
Yes.
Big day.
Fantasy.
Day my
Prepare
child
your
was
fantasy
born.
teams.
Looks like Charles, you're getting
Day
a
I
call
got
as well.
married.
Charles, you're getting a
Giants
phone
signed
call.
Shepherd. Done.
Charles, that's your chance to get out. Someone's trying to save you, Charles.
All right, trying to get back on track.
Impossible.
Dallas Goddard, 32.5 receptions.
I'm going over.
Yeah, I think it's going to go over.
Over. We're all unanimous. Derek Barnett, 7.5 sacks.
Oh, that's tough.
That
I'm
is
going to
tough.
say under. I think he'll
I'm gonna
scrape
say
the
under,
ceiling
too.
of that, but I think
Yeah.
he's going to go under. I'm thinking 5 or 6.
Because he can, if he has, I was going to say, if he has 6.5 sacks next year with that defensive line,
Yeah,
it's not a bad number.
it's not.
It's not a bad number in a rotation at all, especially if he's also getting pressures in addition. You know, for so many years, how many, did Brandon Graham have 1 million pressures,
But
but not a lot of sacks. So, I
yeah.
mean, it's
Yeah.
hard to just gauge a guy on that. So, I mean, he could still have a really good year and not hit that number.
I'm taking the under.
I'll go under as well.
Under. And the last one, Sidney Jones, 2.5 interceptions.
I'm going over.
Over.
I'm
I'm
going over
because they're going to try. I think they're going to try to test him, and I think he's going to pass that test with
Yeah,
flying colors.
I agree with that.
What did you think about? Well, that was my last one. So, but what did you think about Sidney Jones?
Thank you for clearing that
Yeah,
up.
I'm just saying.
When you did the lean back, I kind of picked up on that. Like,
What
unless you just wanted to do the sexy
What
pose.
did you think of? For Paige.
Here it is.
Oh God!
Somebody
everything.
tag her in this video.
She'll be very
I
happy
was
about
going to
that.
say, I'm sure she'd really appreciate that.
On Twitter.
I mean, I would. Trending. She's trending.
Might help the numbers.
Engagements.
Wait, which? No, I was going to say,
Yeah,
our
a couple
numbers,
extra
her
comments.
numbers? Not really.
People will be like, why is an Eagles video on this timeline? Why is the poll question about Mychal Kendricks? Why they hashtagging Paige? Oh, well.
Anyway, what's your opinions, Paulie? Because I know you probably saw it.
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't see the video, Charles. I'm sorry.
No. Damn. Ryan?
I'll mute my mic.
This is so
Chrome
bad.
didn't send me the link. He just sent it to you. Which, for my sake, I'm glad that.
I know my crowd, guys. I know my crowd. I know who appreciates things.
Oh, my gosh.
It's not that I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, what was that supposed to mean? What was that supposed to
Mute your mic, Ryan. Ryan. I almost forgot his name was Ryan. I wanted to call him the bro.
Bro.
Oh, it
I
doesn't
called
matter
him
anymore.
Ryan, too.
Doesn't matter anymore.
None of this matters.
What do you think? Okay. Seriously. What do you think about at OTAs how they used Sidney Jones as a nickel today?
Interesting. I don't think that's a permanent thing. I think they're going to kind of look. I think they're going to give kind of all three guys a look in there, I think, honestly.
It's time to do
I
it.
kind of like the idea, though. So, like, for Sidney, you want to test out that Achilles.
Yeah.
No better way to test that Achilles than
slot.
going all that slot. Yeah, doing all that lateral movement in that short area. Apparently, he looked good
Yeah.
covering Nelson today.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's what the
Nelson's
number
dropping
one headline I
balls,
saw.
so
yeah.
Nelson's
Because
dropping
it's
balls.
Sidney Jones'
'Cause it's
presence,
Sidney Jones.
obviously.
I'm interested because if he does well all summer and all training camp and stuff, I'm interested to see if they're willing to move him around. Like even if he does win like the number one corner spot, like which is what we are kind of expecting and hoping. What if because we know Schwartz, he doesn't traditionally let his cornerbacks shadow wide receivers. You know, he just lets them sit on and take their side of the field. But what if Sidney Jones can play inside and out? He does well. I'm wondering if they would start to move him around in certain situations.
Sure.
Because you still have Mills, and you still have Darby. So you want to get those three corners out on the field. So what's the best way they could scheme up to get all of them out there?
But like we just talked about, I mean, it's so rare to have three linebackers on the field. They're never going to have three linebackers on the field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no matter how it goes, the third guy is going to get a ton of snaps.
A ton of snaps,
He's going to get a ton of snaps. So it's like not – if anything – and this goes back to something that Tom talked about that we talked about before. And Jalen Mills has earned the right to start on the outside. He's earned that right. Same as Ronald Darby. They both earned that right. And I love Sidney Jones. And Sidney Jones, I think, is going to be – he's going to be a better player than both of them. Like, honestly, I think Sidney Jones is so good. I think he's going to be like an all-pro caliber corner.
Yeah.
That's how good I think he's going to be. But he still has not earned it yet. So why not you let him earn his stripes. Let him earn his stripes either coming in as a slot or coming in as a third corner, however you want to look at it, bumping to the outside, bumping someone in, whatever. And then when you let Darby walk in the offseason, and then you give Sidney the outside spot. So I mean, and then it also, but I also think too, giving him it doesn't hurt. It gives you more options.
Yeah, exactly.
To have Sidney, to have him have that skill set, it doesn't hurt because then next year, let's say maybe Rasul Douglas looks really good. So then on third down next season, you can have Rasul Douglas come in the third, be the third corner, and have Sidney jump into the slot.
Yeah.
So I mean, it just gives you more options.
Exactly.
So I don't see why it hurts to have Sidney Jones in the
I don't
slot.
think it hurts too because
No.
I kind of want because we always talked about like you look at a lot of teams and their offenses. A lot of them they're moving their top wide receiver into the slot and a lot of packages.
Yeah.
Julio Jones takes a lot of snaps in
Yes,
the
he
slot.
does.
So to me,
Beckham.
yeah, Odell Beckham.
One snap in the slot.
So to me, I've always been a fan of a corner who can shadow and move around the field and just shadow the best receiver. Do I expect Schwartz to just change it up? No, I don't. I can't say I expect it, but if Sidney Jones can have that type of skill set where he can move from the outside, and then if someone else like who is better on the outside and not in the inside, like Rasul Douglas, per se, if they want to they want to bring him in on sub packages, nickels or dimes, and say Rasul Douglas is better on the outside, I think it goes to our benefit that Jones can just be put in the slot and saying, okay, your best wide receiver is there, let's put him in the slot. I think it's just it's not so much nowadays where your corners are, and this goes for wide receivers too. It's just having them out there on the field and being able to dictate. Well, on the defense, you're not dictating, but you are making sure you are matched up well enough against the offense. I think that's a huge plus.
And they drafted Maddox, who he's a slot corner in the NFL. He's not an outside corner. I don't think anyone's under that illusion. Even the Eagles kind of said it. They don't really believe that. They know he's a slot corner.
Yeah.
But as you and I talked about, Charles, he's far from a perfect prospect. He's got technique issues. He's a great athlete. He's got a lot of tools. He's tough. He's competitive. But is he going to turn into the slot guy? We don't know.
He's got a lot to learn.
We don't know. So if that doesn't pan out, if he doesn't learn enough this year, if he doesn't grow, you need to have someone play the slot next year too.
Exactly.
So it benefits them in the long term to have Sidney in the slot.
No, and I mean, for me, it's simple. I mean, you guys kind of touched on it. They have to figure out ways to get all these guys on the field, and this is the time to do it. You know, it's low pressure. See what kind of skill set that they have where they can be utilized the most effectively. Figure out what the chemistry is going to be, and then find ways to get the guys on the field during live action and make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you guys pretty much touched on everything else with that. It's the right time to do that and start experimenting with those things.
The one thing I wanted to bring up as well, and it's crazy to me, so maybe you guys can explain it better than the people online, but, you know, the moment where Mychal Kendricks was released, okay? I read about 15 comments online, and mainly the people in like our comment section saying the Eagles need to go out and sign Dez Bryant. This is the opportunity. Can people freaking
fuck does that do anything?
What?
Can people freaking stop? Really? What? Number one, why do we need another wide receiver? Because we have what? 7 of them now? 6, 7? I mean, that's a thing. We have a lot of them. And we've gone numerous times, we've talked about all the passing options this team has, aside from wide receiver. 2, why do we want Dez Bryant here?
I don't know.
He's
a team that flourishes because of chemistry. You're bringing in, like, really, like some people, some people want to paint Michael Bennett in that light. I don't see him that way. But Dez Bryant is. Dez Bryant, he's a me player. He's going to complain when he's not getting the ball, and it's going to be ugly. And you want Dez Bryant barking at Carson Wentz? Not that Carson Wentz can't handle it, but I don't even want to do it.
I don't want him barking at anybody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I don't want him barking at Doug, at Howie,
I don't need
at
all
offensive
that.
coordinator, at the fans, period.
Barking at Mike Groh.
And listen, I think that Dez still has something in the tank, something that he can, with the right fit,
Yeah, for sure.
contribute to an organization. It's not here. There's not a need for it. We don't need to go out and I hated it when they used it, but have the dream team mentality that, okay, let's go out and sign a guy who's a former superstar, hope that we're going to squeeze the last couple drops out of that lemon. He's much better fit for a San Francisco team.
And
I would say Green Bay, but I don't know if you guys saw.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not going there.
Aaron Rodgers just said,
Yeah.
just released. He's and quote, why cut Jordan Nelson and
Yep,
bringing
I was
Dez?
literally just going to quote that. Yep,
Yeah.
I read that earlier. It makes for him in his eyes, it's a valid point. What sense does that make for them?
And
I do think that he would flourish with Rodgers throwing the football, but maybe it doesn't fit them. I mean, he knows that offense and that passing scheme more.
And
but
here's what it is too. And Charles, you mentioned earlier, and I like Corey Graham. We have fun here about me loving Corey Graham. But here's the thing:
biggest Corey
if
Graham
you're
fan.
if you're trying to bring, like Doug Peterson said today, that he would still be interested in bringing Corey Graham back, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to sign Dez Bryant, that money, instead of using that money to sign Dez Bryant, there are still 3 pretty damn good safeties out there that are starting caliber safeties. There's Kenny Vaccaro still out there, Trey Boston's still out there, and Eric Reed, who the only reason he's probably still out there is because of the anthem shit.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: the Eagles have shown they're going to sign guys that's not a thing for them. So if you can get an Eric Reed for the money you would be signing a Dez Bryant, that helps your team way more than a Dez Bryant would.
Yeah.
Something happened. You guys reacted.
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to read it out loud. I'll read it to you later. But you want to get back to some YouTube?
God.
Yeah. Just another.
I'm scared.
Ryan just caught up.
This
on what
is
I was
this
talking
is
about.
real breaking news. This is not like
Horse shit.
Russell Shepard stuff. Hunter Henry is believed to have a torn ACL.
Ooh.
That is a huge blow.
That's rough, man.
That
you
is a
start
huge
seeing
blow
these.
for the Chargers.
Well, I guess Antonio Gates is coming back from 1 more
I
year.
guess they would consider Antonio Gates coming back. That's huge because you're talking about someone who was set up to be their starting.
That's
I
Early
really
season.
like that Chargers
Yeah.
team too,
Yeah.
man. That's rough. It's a
That's-
tough blow on first
yeah.
day.
and I like Hunter Henry a lot too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
he can
tough.
play.
Back to YouTube. I don't remember where we left off. There. You gotta,
Oh man,
It's
I
flying
really,
now again.
I really want to read things that are happening.
You'll see them.
Oh my gosh.
Or do I not want to read them? Really?
No, you want to read them.
Oh, okay.
Who's reading them?
Do you remember? I'm not,
No, not out loud.
No.
Oh man.
I wasn't.
Sorry,
keeping
guys.
track.
We're trying to get it back on the rails. We got a little thrown off here. All right, I got you. Ready? Okay, hold on. All right, so Sixers JT. We'll go from there because I think that's where we left off. He says, "How about them fighting Phils?" We can't talk Phillies because Charles doesn't know shit about baseball.
Come on, Charles.
I think I read that already.
Yo, how
Okay.
about how about the Ruben Amaro Jr. getting Nick Pivetta for Jonathan Papelbon's corpse? Insane.
He says, Sixers JT says half a game behind best record in National League.
Yeah, man.
He says Paul Warlow, Corey Nelson, and Nate Gary.
That I read.
You
I
did
that.
read that one.
Yeah.
All right. So
I'm
maybe I am
down
a
to
little
the
behind.
SJM 86 saying, well, I've been working and just saw the news about Kendricks as I tuned in. Don't know why, but my gut reaction is what the fuck.
Let's not overpass Frank's hashtag page appreciation night comment.
Oh, I thought
It's always
you were
page
trying to
appreciation
avoid.
night, especially if you keep that link. Continue. Moving on.
You can read the page stuff.
We're never gonna move on.
SJM also says the Eagles will be fine after releasing Kendricks. I wasn't big on Warlord to begin with. Is Howie cooking up a trade for an underperforming linebacker in a rookie deal? I'd rather have James Thrash again.
Wait,
Oh,
what?
I'd rather have James Thrash again than Dez. I'd take Thrash. I'm not going to read the next one.
All right. He says, anyway.
Can you just highlight it for me, please?
I was like this close.
I grabbed your arm immediately.
Mike
Parker-
Charles, no.
Mike Parker says Nick Pivetta is an absolute stud right now. And SJM says Eagles have to like Nate Gary or have something brewing in the trade market.
I agree, SJM. I really agree.
We're catching up. Sorry.
We all have an understanding now.
Yeah, we all do.
Charles,
dearie,
it says
dearie.
here you have a thing on NFL offenses.
We can say. I mean, we can save it for next week.
Okay, we don't have a thing on NFL
I
offenses.
guess that was supposed to be the lead topic, but it kind of got off the rails.
Frank, you lied to me again.
Oh dear.
Um.
So the
okay.
Phillies are losing.
Charles, that's baseball, Charles.
Oh, SJM says Eagles have to like Nate Gary or have something brewing in the trade market.
I just read that, Charles. Thanks for catching up.
SJM also says.
Sorry,
By
it's
the way,
hard.
guy.
It's hard with all these pages.
I
you
know.
SJM also says he says Thanos was right. Just reassuring some things, I guess.
You might be right about that, buddy. We might be proving that right now. Wipe half of the civilization off the earth.
Half of us probably
I would
shouldn't
probably
here,
be part of that.
I don't feel so good.
But all right, so all right, so you want to do offensive rookie of the year, right? That was part of your
Early
one of your
predictions, yeah. Might as well. We have nothing else to talk about.
I think easily it's going to be Barkley.
Easily?
I don't know about easily.
I think.
I just think.
I really do think Geis is going to be with that offensive line. No, you know what? Because I don't know what the coaching staff's going to do. They might still only use him for like early downs. But I don't know.
I got two sneaky ones.
Go ahead.
DJ Moore.
I agree.
Oh,
I can see
like that.
DJ Moore having a
I
really
like
good
that.
year for Cam.
Oh, are you going to
It's
say
probably honestly he's already probably the best receiver Cam Newton's ever thrown to already as a rookie. Another sneaky one I like, and I have a reason for it. Christian Kirk.
Okay, go.
Learning under Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald will still be the guy who gets all the attention.
Okay.
Josh Rosen and Christian Kirk have a chemistry going back to high school.
To high school, really?
Yeah.
Just-
So when Josh Rosen takes over that job, because we all know he will, Christian Kirk will get his catches. He's my dark horse guy.
SJM says Saquon Barkley offensive and Roquan Smith for defensive.
Roquan, I can see for defense.
I can see that.
What about as a dark horse? How about Sony Michel?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's a guy I feel like a lot of people aren't really talking about.
But I don't. My thing is, I don't know if the Patriots will give him
Enough
enough
for it.
touches because they still have James White. They still have they brought back Burkhead too, didn't they?
Did they?
I think they brought back
because
Burkhead
I know
too.
Deion Lewis
They still
is
have
gone.
Gillislee signed to a contract too, even though
nice.
he's not good, but he's still there.
I don't know.
Mike Parker says,
He
I
might
think
be
it's going to be a
vulturing some
third-round
touchdowns.
wide receiver. No reason, just a guess.
Just an
I think
inkling.
a second-round receiver.
Yeah.
What do you think about Anthony Miller in Chicago?
I love Anthony Miller.
I mean, they have a lot of weapons. I get that, but I mean,
Got a lot of weapons around my boy Mitch out there.
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
It's Mitch in my heart.
Mitchell. I could see Anthony Miller trying to
Mitchell.
make a case. Because, I mean, like,
Yeah.
Juju made a run, and, like, he wasn't the main threat there because, you had, obviously, Antonio and Lev Bell. And in Chicago, even though it's going to be focused around Jordan Howard and I'm guessing Allen Robinson as the main guys, I still think Anthony Miller could come on. I can see it, definitely.
SJM just said that, too. How about Anthony Miller?
Yeah. Not enough talk was going around here with Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller, I'm telling you, I had him really high.
I could see some of the running backs, though. Like, I could see, Ronald Jones in Tampa. I could see him having a decent season. I could see Nick Chubb actually being good in Cleveland. Their offensive line isn't bad.
I could also see Royce Freeman, Denver.
Yeah.
Royce
Yeah,
Freeman
that
in
scheme.
Denver.
Yeah, sure.
With Case Keenum because, they're going to want to do
And
run heavy.
Portland.
Yeah.
What about Darius Geis?
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah,
Charles
that's why I
mentioned
you said
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I said
But I could definitely see. I
Yeah.
think guys has got a chance to be a 1,000-yard back this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I really do.
I think because what I forgot to expand on. I think Saquon definitely should be mentioned up there. I think he has to be one of the early favorites. But like I said, I think it's going to be tough for him to get a lot of production on the ground. If he's going to if he's going to have a case and if he's going to be have a great year, it's going to have to be through the air as well. Which I think the Giants will use him. But what I'm saying is if he doesn't get production on the air, I don't think he'll have enough production with that offensive line on the ground.
Yeah, that offensive line's still not good. Calvin Ridley could have it. I could see him on the opposite side of Julio.
Oh, yeah, he's
such a good route runner, man. He's going to see so much single coverage. I think he can make an impact.
He's pretty pro ready in terms of wide receiver.
He's probably the most honestly, and you know that I love DJ Moore, and he was my guy.
Yeah.
As far as polished NFL ready, I would say Calvin Ridley's definitely more polished and NFL ready than DJ Moore.
Exactly.
SJM says Derwin James will get his hands on some action with that pass rush.
Yeah.
Both Chargers corners are good, too, so teams will attack James early to prove himself.
They also drafted a Kaiser White from West Virginia, who's like a hybrid safety linebacker. Dude, I love the Chargers draft so much.
Yeah.
And their biggest issue was they got killed by tight ends. They got killed over the middle. So what do? They get Derwin James, and they get Kaiser White, two safeties who will play in the box and can cover tight ends and are big and long. I love those draft picks.
Yep.
Here's a question I had for you guys last week, but I saved it for this week. Basically national regarding the NFL. Give me one team that you think before this coming season people are sleeping on. That could be like the breakout team. And give me a team that you think people are getting too excited about. There's too much hype. Maybe a team that people think are going to take a big jump and you don't think will. Basically, your most overhyped team and your team that people are sleeping on.
That's really tough.
I think the team that people are sleeping on is the Bears.
I think a lot of people are starting to come on to the Bears, though. I
got laughed at 2 weeks ago when I was or 3 weeks ago when I was on that Bears bandwagon.
Oh, when you're saying the
by
top 10
these two?
rankings?
They're in my top 10.
I don't know if I'd say top 10 right now, but I could see them making a huge jump and being flirting around 9 and 7.
So
I could see that.
Who is your
in our
overhead?
division? I think teams are sleeping on not a challenge for us, but for second in the division, the Giants. I think that the Giants. I don't love Dallas. I think they've done enough.
I like the Redskins more than
I
both
like
of
the
them.
Skins, but I could.
I gotta be honest with you. I
but
like them more
but
than both of them.
my reasoning is I wouldn't be surprised. To me, I think the Skins are probably the second best team, but it wouldn't surprise me the Giants challenge. I think that Dallas is going to take a step back again this year. I really do. I don't feel like they've done enough. They've lost more assets. I think Jason Witten retiring when he did really threw them for a loop.
I agree with that.
And if I look at the addition of Hearns and really, for all intents and purposes, you're kind of swapping with Dez. I'd still rather have Dez if I'm them. I'm not sold on Hearns. I just don't feel like they've done enough for me to look at them and see that they're going to make more of a push. But my thing is it starts with the quarterback. And I don't know that I see enough in that offense that I'm confident that Dak can make enough of a jump back towards that first year. I think he'll be better than last year, but I think he's somewhere in the middle of his rookie year and second year. I think he's going to trend more towards last year, though. Mm-hmm. If they would have given him more, I think that I would have felt more confident in them being a clear-cut second. I agree with you guys on the Skins. I think the Skins are probably the easy 2 for me. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants leapfrog the Cowboys.
I think for the Giants, the big question mark. Okay, I don't have to say it again.
It's the offensive line. I agree with you.
But then also,
I understand that.
Eli has to show that he still got it. I doubt it. Eli still has to show he's got it. He really does. Like, I get it. Last year he didn't have weapons. A lot of people got hurt, and he showed moxie and played well against in both games that we played it again. We played them, but. He's just not.
We don't know what the Giants are because there's really not a true
they did
baseline set last year.
They lost, but they also lost a good number of defensive players, and they drafted 2 interior defensive linemen when they already have two interior defensive linemen as starters.
And didn't I say that Snacks Harrison didn't show up to camp?
Snacks Harrison didn't show up to camp. Olivia Vernon had a down year. They lost. JPP. They lost one of their corners. They lost JPP. Who's the corner they lost? They
traded him. They didn't even lose him.
Who did they? They lost DRC.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
They lost DRC.
Yeah, but they still have
Eli Apple. Janoris Jenkins on one side, but who's the other corner on the other side? Eli Apple.
Yeah,
he stinks.
I never was.
All right, you still have Landon Collins, but who's the other safety?
Deontay Thompson. He's an all right player.
He's okay. Yeah, they are. I think depth-wise, they are concerned. Once someone on that defense gets hurt, it's not going to be good. I think the interior of their defense, like I stated, with their interior defense line is stout. But when you get to the edges, that's where they're not that special. And they can outside of Janoris Jenkins and Landon Collins, their secondary doesn't scare me. It can be exposed. You go to one side and you can attack them. So I think that they have glaring holes that if 1 or 2 injuries bite them again, they're not gonna go. They're not gonna go anywhere.
I got mine, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what's yours?
So my team that people were kind of sleeping on, the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, you stole mine! Damn it! I was gonna say the same thing.
Tennessee Titans.
They're
You can still say the same thing.
Yeah,
Tennessee Titans.
You guys can agree.
Because everyone, rightfully so. Everyone's talking about the Jaguars. Rightfully so. People are talking about the Texans again, getting J.J. Watt back, getting Deshaun Watson healthy for a full season as a starter. Fair enough. I get why people are talking about those 2 teams. The Titans made the playoffs last year, won a playoff game. They now have an offense that fits their quarterback skill set significantly better.
Oh, God.
They signed Deion Lewis, and they're going to give Derrick Henry a bigger role. I love that backfield.
I love that
Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry, I love that backfield.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's sick.
Corey Davis with a year of experience and also healthy coming in the camp.
Yep.
I love their draft, getting Rashawn Evans, who I think is a stud linebacker, and getting Harold Landry in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
They already have a really good offensive line. They have some good pieces up front. They have Kevin Byron in the back end. I just think that they have a pretty damn good team, and I think it's a team that to me, it's all hinging on Mariota. If Mariota takes that step and becomes that guy that everyone thought he was going to become, if he takes that step to elite status, they're going to be a really tough team to beat.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Frank says Giants could be a challenge. Schumer's offensive scheme is very West Coast based. Give them a couple years and they're going to be a threat. Love Paulie's Titans pick. I bet Ryan, the bro, Doe, is thrilled.
You guys, this is another running joke. So I'll keep it short for the people so they don't get bored by it because they hear it all the time on Wednesdays. But so 2 years ago when we were doing our season predictions for the NFL, we got to the AFC South, and I picked the Titans, who I think they were in year 2 of Mariota. They were awful the year before.
Yeah.
and I picked them to win the division. And I got destroyed. People were saying, "Oh, you're nuts! Oh my God!" And I said they're going to be the most improved team in the NFL, which they were. And so I got coined. Oh, that's Ryan's team because he roots for them. No, I adopt a team every year. Hence this question that I think people are disrespecting, and I like them. You know what I mean? Just to prove a point. That was the Titans that year. It so happened the Eagles were my team last year.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're disrespecting them. And this year, I understand what you're saying, Paulie. I don't think people were talking enough about the Texans. I think people were saying, yeah, they have J.J. Watt back. Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu, obviously DeAndre Hopkins. We think we like, obviously, Deshaun Watson, but, oh, wait, he's only played 5-6 games. No, people don't understand this.
Maybe that's my fault. Maybe because I already think the Texans are so good, maybe I'm not seeing the perception.
Which is a good thing because I've seen numerous, whether it comes to roster depth, when it comes to roster ceiling, top teams in the AFC, no one's talking about the Texans. I'm seeing people talking about the Chiefs and all sorts, like the Raiders, like the Texans. People don't understand. I believe they have the ceiling to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
I really, truly do. So I think people were not overhyping the Jaguars because they got to the conference championship. I understand that. You know, the Titans, I think they could be a good team, but the Texans, my God. And then the other team I had were the Cardinals. I mean, listen, people were trying to tell me they're going to win like 4 games. I think they have Larry Fitzgerald. They have David Johnson. I know it's just day 1 of OTAs, but have you heard the noise that Josh Rosen is picking up right now? I know. We like
Miles. It was me and Paulie.
And
Sam Bradford reported for OTAs, right?
Yeah.
He made it through healthy through a day.
Yeah.
It's already a good year for him.
Yay.
Listen, I'm not saying they can win the Super Bowl, but I think they could be a playoff contender.
I worry about their offensive line. Is not good.
If I'm looking at overhyped,
this
you
would be
hit
interesting.
it. It's the Chiefs. I think every year at this point they're overhyped.
How dare you?
I know, Patrick Mahomes, we know.
Smear the name of Patrick Mahomes in my presence. No, I'm just kidding. Go.
No, I think that they're starting to approach that point. I think Mahomes is going to be really good this year. I agree with you. They're going to grow, but to me, I don't think they're going to be a contender for that division at this point. I think this is a transitional year to make sure that your future quarterback is learning the offense and to make sure that you're kind of putting the pieces for what you're going to have to build around him at some point.
Yeah.
But people, year in and year out, believe Andy Reid and the Chiefs are going to be a team that's going to continue to compete and win and be a force in that division. I just don't see it this year. I think if they're smart and they have a realistic view, they understand, hey, maybe we're good enough to make a run at the division, but we're probably not going to be as good this year as we usually are. Make sure our quarterback is in a better position moving forward.
Paulie, what about your overhyped?
Oh, man, that's really hard.
And that's beside the point that they can never get over the hump in the playoffs.
True.
I don't know who the hell I could even I'm really trying to rack my brain, and I can't think of a team.
It's tough. I've been going down the list.
The only one.
I have one. The only obvious one I could think of, and it's only overhyped because of everything they've done this offseason. But
I know
I don't know if anyone could live up to the paper of the Rams. How good they look on paper. I don't know if any team could live up to that billing.
I'll give you one that I feel people might disagree with.
Don't you dare say it. If you say what I think,
no, I'm not saying the 49ers.
Oh God.
I thought about it, but no.
We would have had problems.
We would have, Mike.
Here we go. Odubel just get a double.
That would have been a headset walk-off.
That would have been another
That's
45 minutes in the show.
Walk-off.
I would have never.
No.
I would have been done. Never.
No,
came back.
I wouldn't say they're overhyped. Now, I think people that are saying they're going to be dark horse Super Bowl contenders, that's a little crazy. But no, they can win 9-10 games if things go correctly.
Who's that?
Yeah.
The 49ers. But my overhyped team, it's the New England Patriots.
Interesting. Okay.
Honestly, that was probably the second team I had in my mind, so I agree with you on that.
People just assume because they're the Patriots,
they should be up top. Yep.
And I'm not even saying this because Brady and Gronk didn't report to quote-unquote voluntary OTAs. I'm not even saying that because they'll figure that stuff out. They're petty up there, and that's just what they do. It's fine. But let's be honest with ourselves. Are we overly impressed with that offense?
Nope.
Especially with an old quarterback? No.
with a
if
tight end.
If you're talking about outside
with a tight
of
end
Brady,
that you don't even with a tight end that you don't even know how much his heart is into it at this point.
They just signed Jordan Matthews.
I'm way less impressed by their defense than their offense.
Well, that was my next point. I was going to say, so if their strength is their offense, which is not that great,
they're going to be slinging it. That's all they can do.
So, listen, they're going to win the division. My God, I'm not saying that they're going to.
It's not a good division. You're absolutely right.
But people that are saying, "Oh, they're going to get back to the Super Bowl," I don't think they have a shot to get. They have a shot. I don't think they're getting back to the Super Bowl. I could see them losing in the first round if they're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in a bad conference.
Yeah.
I would make the argument. I think their offense. So I think they got some guys back. Like they lost some guys in the offensive line, but I also think they did a pretty good job getting a couple. Like they got Isaiah Wynn. They got some pretty decent players. I like the Sony Michel pick, so I think they have a nice dynamic there. They get Julian Edelman back. They lose Amendola, but they get Edelman back. So that's in a way that's kind of an upgrade. I still like. God, Charles, help me remember the kid's name, the receiver, Mychal. Can't remember his first name.
Mychal.
You know what I'm talking about. Malcolm Mitchell.
Malcolm Mitchell. Oh,
he was hurt all last year. He was really good as a rookie though, and they really like him. So I mean, they lose Amendola, but they get those two guys back. Gronk's health is always going to be a concern. Their offense, I still think is going to put up points, but yeah, their defense is just it's a train wreck, and they only got worse. They lost Malcolm Butler. Like they only got worse on defense.
Yeah. I think that in terms of it is hard. It's hard to say who's being overhyped. But for me, there are two teams that I think I believe are gonna take like a downslide compared to last year. One is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
And two, and that has nothing to do with Russell Wilson. It has to do with everything else around them. And two, I think the Saints are gonna take a slight dip. That's me.
They're gonna the first 4 games. It's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt.
Losing Mark Ingram.
I mean, I do believe in Alvin Kamara, but I don't know. Is Alvin Kamara ready to take on like a whole full workload? We'll see.
Well,
but
Sean Payton already said that that's not gonna happen. Like they're not gonna.
Okay,
they're not gonna just give him 30 carries.
There's production there that needs to.
They want to keep him on the same kind of pace he was on last year. They don't want to overdo it.
There's missing production there that needs to be filled, and I just think going back to the Seahawks, show me where they improved. Show me where they improved. Show me how you want to talk about lingering year-to-year lingering offensive line issues.
Oh.
Similar to like the Giants, the Seahawks have not been able to address their offensive line issues for years now.
Since they won the Super Bowl.
They upgraded at running back with Rashad Penny in the first round.
Oh, yeah. When he can only run behind what offensive line?
Yeah.
That's my point. You can't.
I know. I'm on your side.
a great running back talent like Penny, where he has that potential, you need an offensive line with him. With his skill set requires a good offensive line because he's not versatile. And you're not going to sit him back there, like I said when I had my rant. You're not going to sit him back there on passing down to protect Russell Wilson because you might as well have you might as well have Rudy out there protecting Russell Wilson because he's that bad in pass protection from everything I've seen. So I don't see where the Seahawks improved. I going off of who said Cardinals. Going off your Cardinals thing, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals finished with a better record than the Seahawks.
Oh, I would count on that. Yeah.
And I hate saying that because I'm a huge Russell Wilson fan. I've liked Russell Wilson since his rookie year.
You
I
like
think
Sammy's sleeves too.
Okay, so
so he's got he's on the Sammy sleeves bandwagon now. Let's go, Sammy.
What? Oh God. Okay. Anyway,
this is going to be him picking the Cardinals to win the division. It's going to happen. I'm calling it.
What do you? Sam Bradford's not making it to the season. I don't know what
we're
talking about.
If anything,
it's Josh Rosen.
If you're going to argue anything, you had better luck saying Josh Rosen because I've said.
Talk about a quarterback that actually is going to play.
I like Josh Rosen.
Well, we continue to talk about Donnell Pumphrey on the show, and we know he's never going to get a sniff at the field.
I'm not bringing him up.
Not tonight.
I haven't brought him
Todd
up.
Womack says, is it too late to bring back Kendricks? Well, I'm going
to go ahead and say yes.
In our post when we broke the news about Warlow, I put in there, I'm like, can somebody please call Kendricks and tell him to turn around the car?
my gosh.
Nah, Kendricks is too busy watching that Page video.
Did you see Vespi's one comment? Page is my winner for offensive rookie.
Yes. Yes. SJM
Lord.
says Bradford will break his toe during a pedicure and be out 6 to 8 weeks.
It's fair. It's
So,
fair prediction.
Did you give your overhyped team or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have one. My cop-out pick is just to say that the Rams will never
That's right,
live
you
up
did
to
say the Rams.
Yeah.
that,
I mean-
the paper team that they've built. Then they can't live up to that.
I mean, you mentioned the Raiders. I don't know
I don't think
what to
anyone
make of
gives a
them.
shit about the Raiders.
My thing with the Raiders, I think they were better than they showed last year. So I think to me, inevitably, they're going to be better. I don't know if I could say they're overhyped or underhyped at this point. But, I mean, just because you mentioned them, I think they're going to be pretty decent this year. They have to be.
I don't know, man. I worry about Gruden not having
Yeah.
coached
It's
him
gonna-
forever, and he's already like on this whole kick of like, oh yeah, I don't care about analytics, man. No, it's better to do a Y banana. I don't need analytics.
Spider 3.
No, but I feel like listening to Gruden, though, he does have his thumb on the pulse of where the game has gone. He's a very intelligent guy. I enjoyed listening to him, and when he would do his things, talking to quarterbacks and breaking down different things. Like, I think he has his thumb on the pulse of what the game's become since then. Now, maybe the analytics thing is an issue. Maybe he's not letting you know how much he's into that because he's an old school guy. He's not going to, tell you all his tricks or whatever. But I look at Carr. I think Carr's going to have a much better year this year if he stays healthy. Marshawn Lynch showed some flashes last year. I know he's another year older.
They got Doug Martin too.
They have Doug Martin.
Yeah, 2 old running
Can't
backs.
believe they have Doug Martin on that team.
Oh my gosh.
But just because you mentioned them, I think that they're going to be decent this year. I don't know. You said you heard people were like overhyping them.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a little crazy. But I also have heard people very much in my opinion, underhype them as well.
Cutting
I think
Michael
they're kind of just
Crabtree to
in the
get
middle.
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah.
I just look at it as that's the one team in the entire NFL I literally have no feel for.
I think it's, and I agree with you. I think that's what
Yeah.
it is for me. Is that I have no idea. I have no idea whether to overhype them or underhype them because I can't even.
SJM says Gruden will get every ounce of greatness out of Carr, but I don't know about the rest of the supporting.
I
think
agree.
That's fair. Yeah, I think
That-
that's a very
He's
fair
very good
point.
with his quarterbacks. What
That's-
he did with Rich Gannon.
That's why I really can't get a feel for it. And two,
Chris
it's
Sims.
it's
And
based
Chris
off
Sims.
of 2 seasons ago. The Raiders came out of nowhere and they played fantastic. And up until Derek Carr got hurt at the end of the season, they were looking like, okay, they can make some noise in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Then the next season, everyone was expecting people. I think, and not to throw Frank under the bus because he would say it all the time, but I think he picked them to win the Super Bowl or at least get to the Super Bowl. And he's not the only one. They were projected to be great, and they just fell off the face of the earth. So it's kind of like a year where they're fantastic, a year where they're supposed to be fantastic but suck. Now we have John Gruden that comes out from the grave, and he's back. Derek Carr, can he stay healthy? You have those characters over there. Obviously Lynch, you don't know. Like, is he the same as he was? There's just so many question marks. I'm telling you, they could either be 12-4 or 4-12.
I agree. It's a lot of unknowns, and a lot of it's going to depend on how the head coach adapts to the new style of game since he's coached. Before we go off the air, the question was asked in the first half. Let's answer it. Where do you think a landing spot for Kendricks is?
Steelers.
Steelers. It seems too easy. I mean,
Yeah, I hate to agree, but I think it's that.
New England?
New England wouldn't be the worst. Yeah, I could see that.
Talk about a team that needs established defensive players probably at this point.
Yeah.
To help out that defense a little bit. It wouldn't shock me.
I've seen people say the Colts as well.
Yeah, Colts need another team that just needs good defensive players. So
And there is a history of our guys
I always
moving on.
Frank Reich's there. I don't know if that helps or hurts that situation.
I always thought it'd be cool for him to go to Minnesota play with his brother, but I don't think that
would
will
be
happen.
Kind of fun, but yeah, I don't think
It would be
happens
cool
either.
though.
I don't think they need him at this point.
No, they don't need
No.
him. His brother is better than he is.
He's much better than him.
He got that new contract and is well deserved. So.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Anything for the cause before we jump off the air, fellas?
Could be a
Ryan?
little bit of a break.
Huh?
Could be a little bit of a break,
got 2
correct?
weeks.
Oh,
break,
yeah. So, obviously, after tonight, are we the last show before the break?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So, SJM says Kendrick goes to the Giants.
Well, that would be fun. We would know how to attack him.
And we'd have plenty of weapons to do it, too.
Go route. Fly route done with
pretty
you.
much.
So,
Swing.
so we're going to be off the air for next week. A2D after tonight is taking a break. So if you guys join us, thanks for joining us for the week off. Obviously, the Prez, the chairman himself, is going on vacation with the holiday week coming up. Everybody gets off.
Yay!
Holy shit, we get off days. So, we're off next week. The Fix is off. Oh, it's so sweet.
I come back after like 2 shows off, and then I'm another 2 weeks. Probably next show.
Probably not a coincidence.
Is this the sad walking away music from the Incredible Hulk? Is that what this is?
Yeah, so no Fix, no AM in the PM, no lazy booking, no hockey happy hour, right?
Correct.
No agree to disagree. Coming back next week, no Sports Hounds, no Birds of a Feather again. And are they doing Wednesday next week?
No, I believe the first show that will be back is
Lazy Booking.
Lazy Booking next Thursday.
So next Thursday, A2D is back on the air with Lazy Booking and Hockey Happy Hour. Then your regularly scheduled programming will continue after that.
I will say, for anybody that doesn't already do so, you could still, as you go through the next week or so, follow us over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of us. We're going to still keep putting content over there. I can only imagine what's going on in the chat. I see it.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you're not already following all of the socials on A2D Radio, please do. Obviously, it'll be great for the next week or so.
Yeah. So, like he said, Real Talk especially, guys. We always drop comments, content. We have our page. Please like our business page. But even beyond that, you want a little bit of an edgier A2D, Real Talk's the place to be.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Brodo, the Brodo, Mr. I nickname myself, thank you for producing yet another great show.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Chucks.
Later,
Welcome
guys.
back, and then we'll smell you later because you're off the air again. Paulie, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Hey,
and I
man.
think you aren't going to be with us in 2 weeks, right?
No, I will not be.
That's okay.
I have things happening and going on.
We'll make things.
Oh, good.
We'll work around it.
We will.
But obviously, I'll be back with you next.
You guys
Thursday,
are the glue that
Ryan.
holds the show together. I'm just here.
Yeah, Ryan. We know. Ryan will
okay.
Ryan will be back with me next Thursday for Lazy Booking. So, guys, thank you for joining us. YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Thank you to our sponsors, Gibson Mayer LLC, Stream Smart, Scanzano Sports, as always, for sponsoring all of our poll questions. BMW of Atlantic City for giving us our beautiful abode here that we get to hang out in. And thank you guys. As always, Birds of a Feather signing off live on A2D Radio. Enjoy your holiday. Be safe. Take an Uber. Take a whatever. Don't be a dumb fuck. Take care, guys.